Very good entrepreneurs and friends of the channel. In this third video of the series How to Create a Startup with No Code, the case of iDocumenter, what we are going to see is already I am going to explain a little better the topic of integrations with third parties. So far, in the first video we saw the product, the final product we had achieved, the MVP of iDocumenter.com, which was a real product that has been launched on the market. We have not yet become an MVP, but we want to continue improving it to end up monetizing it, and so we will also talk about the sources of income. In the second video we saw what is the structure of the project in Dojo, and we told you that in the following videos what we are going to explain is one by one, the providers that have been used of integrations with third parties. You know that the project uses, on the one hand, the Dojo API to integrate with third parties, and then there are a number of providers such as Doyo to generate PDFs, such as SendGrid to send emails, Stripe for payments, and OpenAI for the use of artificial intelligence. Then let's explain. Today we are going to start in this video by how to configure in generating the integrations, and we are going to see the case of the Dojo as a provider. We are going to use some functions, and above all, what I want you to stay in this video is which tool we can use to test. Because you can try the API already in the project, but first, if you want to learn what the API responds to, each of the providers that offer integrations, we will be able to use a tool called Postman, which we will now see is free, and so we can try the API. So, let's get to the mess. To configure the providers, you have the project, go here to configuration and click on integrations. It is possible that in the future there will be a section dedicated only to suppliers, to integrations, so instead of going into settings and then integrations, maybe we put it as an icon here. But well, it doesn't change what the operation or the philosophy is. Here is the list of all the providers that you can connect. Later you will see that you may enter and leave more because we are adding. So we are adding methods. Each of these providers may then have different methods. For example, the Stripe. There are methods to get the products we have registered on Stripe, there are methods to generate a payment page, there are methods to get a customer or a client. Okay, so just as we will be adding suppliers, we will also be adding methods within these suppliers. Then, from this screen they come out and you have to activate with the switch, this one up here to the right of each of the little boxes, you have to activate the ones you want to use in the application. The moment you activate the first one, the pic of the project will appear here below. Okay, this API key, if you are doing the project with Dojo and the API goes within the same project, then you are not going to need it. This API key is already included in the project. But this API key is useful for what we are going to see today, to be able to test from outside our Dojo project, to be able to access our project, the API of our project. Or if you make an application that you don't do with Dojo, you do it for example with MobileCube, or you are programmers, if you program it but you don't want to program a backend, you can use the Dojo API to access these third-party APIs. So, we will now use this from here. So, let's start with the API of the provider Dojo. Okay, apart from offering all the integrations, we also offer some functions that we developed without having to access third-party pen, but that may be functions that are of some use. Here, in the help of, in the documentation. Well, you can access the documentation from the dashboard, although I already have it here. GitHub Wisdom. I already have it at hand, so I don't go back so as not to close the project. But here at Doyo Wisdom you have the project. You enter the backend, in the Spanish Dojo backend, and here you have the providers. We are adding the documentation here. We may be missing some method in some, but well, let's try to keep it up to date. And you have the Dojo one. And here at Doyo's we explain the different methods there are. Random. Pin, to get a pin, that this is just as the one we used in this project. You can get the timestamp from the server, which we are going to use in this project as well. You can use the timestamp in a specific format, the millisecond timestamp. You can generate a UID, which is a unique identifier, so if you want to add documents in a database with a unique identifier, you could use it. At the moment these are the functions offered by the Dojo API. So, how do we implement it? Well, if you do it from outside, here, if you enter, lie, in the back end, here's a little explanation of how to use it. Basically it's a call to this address here, and in the authorization you're going to have to put this here. Now we are going to see it in Postman, and you will see that it is very simple. Okay, in fact, look, let's open a tab and look for Postman. Well, maybe we get Postman this, postman.com. It is a platform for testing APIs. Well, I guess it will have a paid version for certain cases, but well, the free version will allow you have plenty. I have been using the free app for a long time. This is used by almost all software developers who make applications remotely to be able to test whether the entry points or the endpoints work. Well, you download the application and you will be able to test the functionalities. The good thing about this, as you will see now, is that you will be able to see that each of the methods responds to you, and thus, if you want to use a specific value in your project, it will be easier for you to learn it. Well, I have the application already here. I have a lot of all the requests I make, I keep them. But then what we're going to do is create, just like the one I didn't have, I'm going to create one here. Well, this is where you want the requests or the folders, if you want to sort it. I'm going to create a folder. I'm going to call this folder. My computer is a little slow when I record videos. But oh well. In this folder I'm going to add a request. And, for example, I'm going to try the method where I was. Let's try, for example, the this random pin method. Well, we would have. Well, the explanation was coming to us here. On the one hand, the URL, you copy it. You should put here that it is a post. That's the form, the type of request. You put the URL here, and now, what you will have to do in authorization, choose the bidder token option. And here you will have to put precisely the one that gave you Dojo here. This one that comes out for you down here. This would be your token or your API key. And you put it here. Okay, and now we would have to fill in the body or the data that we want to send to the API. We give here to raw, and here we choose JSON. And to see where he was. Here we would have. Where was I here? I just want to show you an example. I don't know if he has a finger. The other one has an example. So, this. Okay, copy an example, this one here. Copy this and put it here. These would be the values that should be sent to the method. On the one hand, the provider parameter, which the provider in this case is Dojo, and then the method we want to use. You see here, these are the names of the method, timestamp, and the provider is Dojo or random pin. So, if we give you here to send, the request is already sent to the Dojo API and it should give us the answer. Well, and you see here right now has given me an error. So why has this been a mistake now? Well, it's possible. It says here, you see that it puts the word unauthorized. That's because we are not authorized, because maybe we have copied the token wrong. Let's see, here it ends in 5 and let's see. Well, we have copied it wrong, in fact, we are missing this one from the end. We copy and paste again. Now she really has the A and we are going to send it. See, and now he's giving me back. It returns me a JSON that has a result parameter and gives us the result. Actually, if you use it from outside Dojo, you are going to receive this entire JSON and you will have to see the content, the result parameter, which can be a number, an object, an array, depending on the API method. If you are using it from within Dojo, be it a website or an application, you don't have to look inside result. It will directly return you and save you in what you put in the link to what appears as the value of the result parameter. Okay, well, let's look at another example. We have the random method. Pin, let's see in the documentation, that this one does accept parameters, okay. It has the digits parameter, it is the number of digits. So, how do we set the parameters? You put another value that is parameters and the value is an object and it has a parameter that is digits, what we have seen in the documentation, that you put the number of digits. Send. See, and the result gives us a pin. In this case it is not a number, it is an alphanumeric pin. Well, it's numeric but it's like a string of text. That's why he gives it to you with keys. If we change the value here, if we want a 4 pin, for example, you see that it gives us a different value. Okay. Well, to give a review, I don't want to extend this chapter too much, especially it was so that you could understand a little bit about the operation. Let's see where we have used, so you can see the difference between using Postman, which yes I have to pass the entire JSON, or using Dojo. If in Dojo, for example, I think the code was generated on the screen of register, can it be? Here was a. In the unloaded we had precisely, you see, the API function and we had this. Note that here, when you do it from Dojo, you do not separate between provider and method. That's when you do it directly by calling the API. If you do it from Dojo with the API function, put the provider together, and the method. See, Dojo, random, pin, random, pin is the name of the method and Dojo is the provider. And here we tell digits the parameter. We don't have to put it inside parameters, they come out here directly. When we take the method, all the parameters come out here automatically. Those that are mandatory already appear to us and those that are optional we will get the plus symbol to be able to add them. Here it forces us to have to put the number of digits. And the answer, what was here inside result, is going to be saved in cookie. Code, in the cookie with the name code, to then use it later, as we did in the verification. Okay, well, the same with the timestamp or the same with others. There are cases, as we will see in the following videos. Today simply in this video we wanted to see the initial configuration of the integrations and try with the simplest one which is the Dojo one. Okay, in the following videos we will go with the other providers with the one we use in the project. We will see the one of Doyo, we will see the one of SendGrid, we will see the one of OpenAI and we will see the one of Stripe. There the answer is not going to be simply a text string like this, but we are going to start receiving JSON objects with different parameters, so if we save what we receive in a cookie, then we could access a specific parameter of that cookie or we can save it in a database. Okay, but that will be in the next video. I hope you have found this video useful. If you are not subscribed to the channel or really, I recommend it because then when we launch the following videos you will be aware. And nothing, see you at the next one. Thank you all very much for watching this video. See you later.